Okay, what about now? Is that better? Okay, perfect. So we'll do it this way. Um, all right, so we're going to start with our definition here: emotional intelligence. Emotional intelligence refers to ability to identify and manage one's emotions as well as emotions of others. Okay? Our quote: when dealing with people, remember you're not dealing with creatures of logic, but the creatures of emotions. That goes hand in hand with our definition. We have to think about everyone you're dealing with on a day to day basis. We're not always dealing with the most logical thing. We're often fixed with emotions and we're dealing with how we're going to handle things, and we handle things from an emotional standpoint. EQ is all about that. It's all about managing one's emotions and identifying one's emotions. That makes for a more productive day. If we're not dealing with our logic and we're just creatures of emotions, how do we navigate that field? Some of our key components of EQ: emotional awareness, or the ability to identify and name one's emotions, the ability to harness those emotions and apply them to tasks like thinking and problem solving, the ability to manage emotions, which includes both regulating one's emotions when necessary and helping others do the same. Now, I don't know about you, but I have been in plenty of organizations where your boss, you can tell they're having a bad day. You can tell the moment you get into that meeting, things are not going to go well. They are unable to control and identify their own emotions. They are unable to separate work from what is going on, maybe at home, or the stress that they're feeling at work. They're unable to separate those two things. So that makes them an ineffective leader at that point. They're unable to effectively communicate with their team, get the job done, and that kind of cancer kind of spreads throughout the organization. Quote: until you make the unconscious conscious, it will direct your life and you will call it fate. The things that you are doing unconsciously, you have to start bringing that to the conscious light. And you have to make a conscious decision to put emotions aside and let the works shine. Importance of emotional intelligence in the workplace. Now, once again, like I said, if you didn't hear me earlier, this is a hot ticket item, especially if you're starting off in the corporate world. These are the things that we a lot of corporations are dwelling into emotional intelligence in the workplace. They say that 20% of success in the workplace is IQ. Once again, only 20% of success in the workplace is your actual IQ. So you can be the smartest person in the world. If you have the emotional intelligence of, let's say, your 2 year old toddler, you're not going to succeed. You have to be able to control, identify, adapt, and overcome the emotions that you have in order to succeed. Who has not heard the term that most major deals are not done in the office? Your major deals are often and not done on the golf course. They're done at the bar, after work drinks. That's when the deals are made. When you become the social animals that we are, that's when we start building relationships and doing the things necessary to get the job done. I've had people in the past not quite understand why is it that I build the relationships that I build. Like, well, I don't want to be around these people. I've done my work for the day and that's it. And it's like that's quite not how it works. If we want to have a successful mission, if we want to get to the end point, we kind of have to be social. We have to be able to read people. We have to understand people. We have to read the room, see what we can get out of them. How can we collaborate so that at the end of the day, our end product is our best product? So these are the reasons why it's important. You have leaders that have bad performances. Why do they have bad performances? They lack empathy. They're selfish. They forget the needs of others. If you want the end product to be your best product, then you have to start delving in to what emotional intelligence is. You have to start delving, putting aside the fact that you might be the best person at the job, but you might not be the best liked at the job. You might not be the best person to get along with at the job. You have to think about what you're putting out there to the world. Are you bringing home to work? And of course, emotional intelligence works when in the opposite way when you're coming home. Are you bringing work home? It's a two-way street. Are you able to see that somebody on your team is struggling and you might need to talk to them differently? The end of the day, your organization wants a product, and productivity has to be up in order for everyone to make money. So think about your EQ, therefore, you can make better money because money talks and people walk, right? So we're going to talk about a little bit about what you might have found when you did your EQ test. I've done mine a few different times. I've done it through a few different websites. The one that I posted and I gave you guys is just one of many. You can also get more information about it. I tend to score a little higher in the 8 to 9 range. I'm pretty sure there's plenty of people in my personal life that are probably like, how is it possible that you scored so high? But the truth of the matter is, I try my best to recognize what is going on with other people. And that's what you need to do. You need to look at your scores on there and see what sections you scoring low in and kind of try to figure out why is it that you are scoring so low? What are you lacking? What are you not willing to do? And how can you change that? If there's anybody that's in the comments want to mention one of their scores or discuss any of their scores, just go ahead and write it down. I'll give you a second to look at it. And I'll get my scores out. For example, my lowest score was self-management. Really no surprise there. I scored a 7 out of 10 in self-management. We are not perfect. I am not perfect. And there are times where you just can't help it. You can't help what emotions you bring to the table, what you're going to bring to work. And it's just like at that point, knowing yourself and saying today may not be the day and letting your partner be the lead. So we have a 2 in self-awareness. Now, self-awareness, when we think about that, we're talking about the emotional self-awareness and how, let's see, the core of emotional self-awareness. Self-awareness is comprised of 3 competencies. Emotional self-awareness, where you are able to read and understand your emotions, as well as recognize their impact on work, performance, relationships. I think that's the most important part when you have such a low score on that self-awareness, is recognizing where you might not be going wrong, where you might be going wrong. And then of course you got self-management as an 8. So that's actually really good that you did that. In social awareness, so you're able to see the things that's going on around you, right? When you're socially aware is a 9, but your self-awareness is a 2. So how do we balance that out? And that's what I want you to kind of look at, is how you're going to balance that out a little bit and kind of bring it broad together. I'd rather have 6s across the boards than have it so far fetched from each other. And there's a lot of tools out there, even in the website, that can help you better, higher those scores up. We have one, let's see, 7 in self-awareness. Now you say you thought you would have scored high, but the good thing about that is knowing that you took the test accurately. It's very easy to kind of lie on these tests, but who are you really lying to? You're kind of just lying to yourself in those moments if you're not taking it literal. But a 7 is not a bad thing in self-awareness. Once again, my self-management is a 7. And that's just managing my own emotions. So being aware of yourself is sometimes maybe you think that you're aware of what you have going on and how you're being emotional. take the time to step outside yourself and really assess it and really look at it if you want that score to go up. All right, we're going to move on. So the characteristics we just talked about: self-awareness, self-management, social awareness, and social skills. All of these things are what we should start learning as children. This is what they're supposed to start teaching in school and learning how to management, identify it, and just kind of be social beings. Human beings are pack animals. Anybody who says we're meant to be alone is mistaken. So because we are packed animals and we live in a society with other people, these are the things we need to start learning earlier on with going to preschool. If you have children, you send your kid to preschool so they can start learning their social skills and learning how to read the room and being around the people around them. Self-awareness, the ability to understand strengths and weaknesses. Knowing where your strengths are and where your weaknesses is important in progressing in anything you do in life. Me personally, I am a proponent of learning my weaknesses. My strengths, they're there. They're always going to be there. I can improve on them, of course. But what I really want to do is I want to understand my weaknesses so I can make that better. And those weaknesses are always going to bring up my strengths a lot more. The ability to understand your own feelings. If you're unaware of how you feel, how can somebody else be aware of your feelings? How can somebody else be in tune to what you have going on? You can't have that expectation. Like, why doesn't my boss understand that I'm burnt out? Do you understand your own feelings? Are you understanding that you're burnt out? Do you understand the why that you're burnt out? But you want somebody to have, you have that expectation for somebody else to understand that. And that's not what you're really looking for. You really want to be able to hone in on yourself and identify what's going on with you and how you can navigate and make it better. For instance, going into work. If you know you've had the worst week ever, the worst weekend ever, and you go into work with all those feelings and emotions that you have not dealt with, or you have not identified, you have a chance of affecting the rest of the team that you're working with. You have if you're a leader, you have that chance you're going to affect those under you, and you're going to kind of take that out on them. And that's the last thing you want. And I'm sure we have all had bosses. It's just, you're like, what is going on in your personal life that you are acting like this with me? Are you dating? Do you have a girlfriend? Do you need to go to the movies? Do you need a day off? And that's how we're looking at our boss. Like, do you need a day off? Because you're really taking all that negative energy and you're kind of ruining, the vibe we have going on. And it makes people not want to show up. Having self-confidence. Self-confidence is something that you can't give someone. You really have to find it in yourself and you have to figure out where it's coming from. And you kind of got to hone in on that. Self-management, emotional self-control, and emotional maturity. We've all met the person that is completely and utterly emotionally immature. They lack the ability to control their temper tantrums. Now, that's easy, when you're looking into a preschool classroom, you're looking into a second grade classroom maybe, and they're throwing a temper tantrum. But when you're in the workplace, the last thing you want is someone acting out on emotion. They can't control their emotions in the meeting. Whatever's going on, they're yelling and they're screaming, and there's just another way to communicate. You can communicate people by just showing a little self-control, and they will be able to respond thoroughly to you. They want you for self-management to be goal-oriented. This is where my self-management was low. I have a lot of goals, but I'm very careful about how I set my goals. More often than not, I will not set a goal that I think I can't easily obtain. And by easily obtain, I don't necessarily mean the goal is easy, but it might be easy for me. It's something that's not outside of the realm for me. So think about that when you think about your assessments as to why you might have scored lower than you wanted to. Adaptability and resilience. Adaptability and resilience is super key. I probably got a little higher in self management because of this, because resilience is what I thrive on. Things happen, we have to learn how to get over them, we have to learn how to work through them. If the project is due on Friday, the project is going to be due on Friday no matter how you show up. No matter what is going on in your life, no matter how you feel, no matter how your boss feels, no matter how your team feels, the project is still due on Friday. Most people work on salary. And because most people work on salary, their self management is off because they know they're going to get paid anyway. Whether I'm going to get paid anyway, but if we got paid per project, if we got paid per piece of work that we had to turn in, would our self management go up? Will we be adapting to the changes that are going around? Will we be able to bounce back through adversity if we do it that way? And I think we would if we think of it that way, that without a product, I don't get paid. Without a product, I don't get paid. Without a product, I don't get paid. We'll be able to manage ourselves and our emotions way more better that way. Social awareness. This is that whole big, did this person read the room? You ever been in a meeting and they walk in and you're just like, read the room. Read the room. Empathy and ability to form connections with others. I believe empathy is one of the biggest keys to being an effective leader. Empathy does not mean as a leader or even as a team member, I do not have the ability to be stern, to be straightforward. That doesn't say that. It says that I understand others. I understand there's a time and place for what I have to do. As a former drill sergeant, my career was yelling at folks. As a former correction officer, I had to make sure I sternly told these men what needed to be done. As working with at-risk youth, I had to be firm and stern, but I also had to be empathetic at the same time. You have to learn when to kind of code switch and turn things on and off. That empathy will take you so far to be able to read and feel somebody else's emotion and what's going on. You should be able to look at your team members and see it in their face that, you know what, it might not be right. That something is off. Let me talk to them differently. Let me address them differently. How can I make the job we're doing a little bit easier? Do I have to take something off their plate today to make sure that they are good for tomorrow? Some people still don't know that empathy is not sympathy. No, I don't feel sorry for you. That's the last thing somebody wants, is to be felt sorry for, but I understand. It's about understanding that, okay, I understand that you are late today because it was snowing, there was a delay at school, you had to get your kid to school. So now I'm going to empathize and I'm going to make a connection with that person so that I can have a better product in the end. If I just don't care and act like their problem don't exist, are they going to be willing to work with me? Is this somebody that's going to take me seriously? Is this somebody who's going to come to me with a problem or a project? Probably not. So I form that connection with them by empathizing, while at the same time balancing out being stern and not, getting walked all over. Also, be a good and active listener. We've all heard that everybody is just waiting for their turn versus listening. You're just waiting for that pause so you can jump out there and say what you have to say. No, actually listen. Provide feedback. Show that you're concerned, show that you care, and show that the things that they're saying actually matter. Ability to explain yourself effectively. This is not everybody's niche at all. This is not everybody's niche. Everybody is not the most articulate. They can't always get their words out. Some people do better in an email. Some of us don't do well in an email. I know for me, I don't like to be emailed, especially when it's something there's like adversity going on. Please don't email me. I prefer that you speak to me in person. which is social awareness. As a team member, as a boss, as a leader, knowing which works for which person you're dealing with can save a lot of issues. I had a supervisor who emailed me, and we all know, especially when they use words like as my last email and all these other things, those tend to be in the business world, those are the fighting words. And you take things and I read it and I'm like, this person is not explaining themselves effectively, but when we spoke one-on-one, they were able to explain and I understood. And then we come to an understanding. So that's all part of that social awareness, is just kind of knowing how to navigate the workplace, reading the room, showing empathy, and just kind of listening to each other. Now, that don't mean spend all day at the water cooler listening all day, because we still have work to do. Social skills. Be a good mentor. Mentoring is not for everyone. So if this is not your niche, don't worry about it. But being able to take somebody by your side and kind of show them the works and show them how to do things, that improves those social skills. And that's how you make connections to get other jobs and other businesses going later on in life. Conflict management skills, learning how to just get through current conflicts. It doesn't have to be something big or out of control. It could be something super small, but just learning how to navigate through those conflicts that happen at work, whether it be, just a misunderstanding, a scheduling issue. A lot of us have race relation issues in the workplace. So just learning, getting the tools that you need to navigate through that. And the ability to work collaboratively. There are fields where you just work alone, and some people just need to work alone. That's where they are best. They are best suited to just be by themselves. But if you don't have that ability to work alone, you have to learn how to collaborate with people, because guess what? Teamwork is always a thing. We all learned that in college, that group work, and I know no one likes group work. Like, no one likes group work. It's like, oh gosh, can I just do my project by myself? Because there's always somebody who doesn't want to work and you got to pick up their stuff. But it's okay. Because learning how to navigate through that collaboration and getting them involved, kind of forcing them involved so they'll be more social, that helps the product in the end. All right, so what do I gain from having a high EQ? What's the purpose? Why do I want this? Why can't I just be grumpy and be to myself and kind of just do my own thing? Well, high EQ employees can identify personal triggers that cause them to feel emotional distress at work. We live in a society where people are so frustrated at work that they are bringing violence in the workplace. If you can identify what triggers you and kind of avoid those triggers or work through those triggers, you yourself can kind of eliminate or limit the amount of workplace violence. I mean, and it can go something as simple as people fighting at work. Like, God forbid, how are we fighting at work as grown-ups? But it happens. But why? It's that you have one more time to talk to me like this. It's you gonna stop putting everything on my desk. It's like it's different things. So what triggers you and how can you control it? Because you can't control somebody else's emotion. You can't control how people show up. Only thing you can control is how you respond and how you show up. Regulate their emotions to maintain a positive attitude. Once again, that's just kind of same thing I just said. Figuring out what triggers you, learning how to control it, whether it's breathing techniques that you have to do, taking time to use the bathroom, moving up from your desk, going to get fresh air, breathing technique. There's 100 apps on your phone that can teach you how to breathe, kind of meditate. You can meditate at your desk. There's just different things we can do to inhale that negative energy, inhale the positive energy, exhale the negative energy, so that we can have a positive attitude. Recognize social cues and sense the emotional state of team members and clients. While you cannot control someone else's emotions, you can recognize them and change how you deal with them. Every person cannot be dealt with the same. You can't speak to everyone the same. And you have to, even if you speak to somebody 364 days the same way, but on that 365, you notice that they're not in a good state, then you need to fix how you talk to them. You need to pause and kind of reassess things, recognize the social cues, recognize their emotions, and kind of deal with them. Build and maintain positive working relationships. Once again, I cannot emphasize this enough. Most deals do not happen in the office. The good job that you want happens with who you know. You have to build these relationships. You have to maintain these relationships. There's some bridges worth burning, but most bridges are not. Always leave a little bit of plank so you can cross that bridge again. Motivation gets things done. In the military, we like to say false motivation is better than no motivation. And that is a fact. You want to motivate you want to motivate yourself and others around you just to get the work done. We all know it's tedious. It's Groundhog Day literally today, but it's Groundhog Day at work. Same thing day in, day out. You're doing the same things over and over again. Sometimes you got to get that extra pick me up. So if you're a boss, if you're a supervisor or a leader, and you can kind of incentivize things with your team to get something done, like, you know what? We're about to roll into this 3-day weekend. We get this project done today. We're going to leave 2 hours early, as long as that's something that's in your power to do. You know, little things like, I know it's your birthday. Here's a birthday card. You just had a baby. Here, giving them flowers or something. Just little things to motivate, to show appreciation to those around you, and to recognize that, yes, I know you're a human being, and I know that you're just not that number. Couple of tips for improving. Practice observing how you feel. That's in your everyday life. Start thinking about how I'm feeling today and how it affects others. Look at yourself from the outside and objectively. Pay attention to your own behavior. How am I reacting to this situation normally? How do I want to react? Question your own opinions. This is a big one. Just because you have an opinion doesn't mean it's right. Just because you were able to research your opinion doesn't mean it's right. We have all done research papers, and we have all found the research that proves the point that we are trying to make. So question your opinion. See if that's actually even in line with what you believe. Take responsibility for your feelings. They are yours. It is no one's fault that you acted out. It is no one's fault that you were angry. It is no one's fault that you are happy, sad, or mad. They are your feelings, and you are responsible for them. They are your reactions to whatever. Figure out why you feel this way and deal with these things on your own. Don't blame others. Don't blame the boss. Don't blame the person that's lazy at work. Don't blame anyone in your organization for how you feel, because they cannot take a feeling chip, insert it in your body. They are your feelings. You have to deal with them. Take a breath. Like I said, go outside. Go outside and get some air. If you're a smoker, you get a break all the time. If you are not a smoker, go take your smoke break. If a smoker can get a smoke break, you can get a non-smoke break. If you work from home, sitting in that chair all day, and I some of y'all know who I'm talking to, is not productive. It's not good for your mental health. Go outside for a second. Just enjoy some of that air, whether it's cold, warm, doesn't matter. Just take a second away from your computer. And lastly, remember, changes take time. Don't expect yourself to just change overnight. We are ever growing. If you're stopped growing, then that means we're done living. So we're going to continue to grow, and we're going to continue to change, and we're going to continue to think about those around us and how it affects us and what we can do to be better. Are there any questions? All right. If there are no questions, thank you guys for coming. I hope you learned something today, and I'll see you next time.